Hi, welcome to our lesson on break-even analysis. My name is Matt Rousu. I'm a professor in the Department of Economics at Susquehanna University. This will be just a short introductory lesson to how we would think about determining a break-even quantity and the revenue you need to generate in order to break even when you're considering a new venture. First thing we want to do is make sure we know exactly what we're talking about when we think about profit. So when we are talking about the profit a firm earns, we're talking about taking all of the revenues the firm brings in and subtracting all of the costs they incur. So the revenue, you sell a certain amount of certain number of a product for a particular price, that's your revenue, but then you had costs that you incurred while perhaps obtaining the product or creating the product, or the cost of labor or any other costs that you'd incur. Take all the revenue, subtract all of the total costs, and you determine what economists will call profit. So from this, right, we have total revenue and total costs. We're going to make the simplifying assumption here that we're only dealing with one product, and also that there's only one price for the product, that the firm is not selling the product at different prices to different people. Both of these assumptions, they could be relaxed, and we could still run this analysis. But for our very our first introduction to break-even analysis, we do these just largely to make our lives a little bit easier. So total revenue is simply price times the quantity, whereas total costs consists of two components of the cost. Total fixed costs. So fixed costs are the costs that are fixed. That's a little bit of circular logic, but it's the idea that costs that aren't going to change regardless of whether you produce more or fewer units of an item. So if you think about the local pizza shop down the street, regardless of whether they sell no pizza in a given day or week, or if they sell 2,000 pizzas, the cost for the renting the building's pretty much the same. The cost for electricity is probably about the same. There are some costs that are just fixed. Perhaps there's you have to rent a pizza oven to cook the pizza in. That cost is going to be the same regardless of whether 10 pizzas are made or 10,000 pizzas are made. These are what we call fixed costs. But other costs will indeed vary based on the production level. So once again, thinking back to a pizza shop, the more pizzas you sell, the more dough you need, the more cheese you need, toppings, sauce, all of the ingredients of the pizza. The more pizzas you sell, the more of those you need. You probably need more workers if you're busier and selling more pizzas. So there are some costs that will vary as you sell more. Those are called variable costs. Other costs stay fixed when you sell more. Those are fixed costs. Total cost is the sum of those two items. So total variable cost could be thought of as the average variable cost, or the variable cost per unit times the quantity of the units that are sold. So what does a firm have to do to break even? First of all, I'll just put up these terms here, and you'll notice this is what I call a Zeke point. That's in the preschool graduation cap. It's kind of a take-home message point here. The output at which a firm would break even, the output where profit is zero. You might ask yourself, if I'm going into business, I don't want to earn zero profits. Probably true, but if you think about opening a business, it is good as a benchmark to think about, well, what's the minimum amount I need to sell so I don't lose money? Right? It's a good benchmark to know if you're trying to think about, is this a venture I really want to get into? Breaking even is that's the first thing you need to do. Before you can make a profit, you've got to be able to sell enough to at least break even. So breaking even occurs where the total revenue brought in exactly equals the total costs that are incurred. So what output would be needed to break even? Well, breaking even is when profit is zero. So it's when total revenue minus total cost is nothing, which means total revenue exactly equals total costs. Then we can do a little bit of substituting, right? We know that total revenue equals price times quantity, and that total costs are split between fixed and variable costs. And so we put in our total fixed costs, and then we put in average variable cost times the quantity for our variable costs. With a little bit of algebra then, we can figure out the exact quantity we need to sell in order to break even. based on this equation. So the quantity is going to equal our total fixed costs divided by price minus the average variable cost. So that quantity is going to be the quantity that allows us to break even. So I'm going to start off with example 1, but for those who are taking global business perspectives and watching this, we're going to continue with example 1 in class. So let's consider a group of students who decide, you know what Susquehanna needs? We need clowns. And the students think we're the ones who can do it. So they want to sell their services as clowns. They think this is a great profit-making opportunity. Total fixed costs, well, there would be fixed costs involved here, right? If you want to be a clown, you've got to buy the outfits. You've got to buy all the equipment, the clown equipment that you need. So total fixed costs, say it's $1,000. There would be a bit of variable cost, right? I mean, if you look at the clowns in the picture, they need their makeup on. Maybe there's a bit of wear and tear, so you have to dry clean the outfits every now and then. I will say it's $10 each time they sell their services, and they can charge $50 a pop, $50. What output is needed to break even? I'm going to end this short video there. This will be the first thing we're doing in class. I'd like you to go ahead and take a shot at solving this, though, before we get to class.